Sunderland awakes. The Siberian weather returns to Siberia, and spring briefly visits. Dave McKee, manager of the Gildacre Fields complex, home of wheelchair guru Steve Wilkinson, has agreed to sample life in a wheelchair for one day. Steve, with the help of Dave and his team, has organised a day of fun and sharing for all. Guests begin to arrive. Including the Lord Mayor of Sunderland, Councillor Doris MacKnight. Steve and members of his team welcome the Lord Mayor's party. Children from the Southwick Primary School are to be important contributors to the day's celebration. After donning Wheelchair Day t-shirts and intensive briefing, the children prepare for the Wheelchair Day parade. The sun shines as the parade assembles prior to setting off on a route which starts and finishes at Gildacre Fields. Everyone enjoys a brief rest as the course is prepared for the wheelchair races and the opening showdown between Steve and Dave. The stewards launched an immediate inquiry, but the rest of the day's card proceeded without further controversy. Spectators and competitors gather to feast, and in the process replace all the calories lost during the feverish competition.
What's the best thing about being in a wheelchair?
You get around places very faster.
It's what?
You get around quicker, faster.
Quicker. What happens when you want to go on a bus?
You get help by the bus. You get help by the bus.
Great.
And now for the important bit, the medal presentation ceremony.
Right, tell me what the best bits were.
The wheelchair racing.
I can't go in any particular order. I thank the Mayor and Deputy Mayor, whatever it is, Mayoress. You're not allowed to tell the difference these days. Thank you for coming and celebrating. Thank you to the children of Southwick Community Primary School and the staff who've come with it. It's been great having you here and helping us to celebrate the day. Thank you to everybody that's organised things. I'm not going to name. Thanks to Dave for being in a wheelchair wherever he is, hiding around somewhere. He's done pretty well in the day. Thank you to Steve for putting together. Thank you to Carol and the team for doing the food. If I've forgotten you, very sorry. Thank you to Linda for keeping me on the straight and narrow.
On behalf of Housing and Care 21, I would like to thank especially this man here for being the founder of International Wheelchair Day. As an organisation, we recognise the hard work and commitment that Steve has put into what he's done to make today exactly what it is. It's not just here in Sunderland that we've been celebrating International Wheelchair, it's all over the world. And to recognise Steve's achievements, we have nominated him for 2 very prestigious awards. The first one being the Housing Heroes Award for somebody who lives in social housing and the work that they do not only in the community but nationally, and that's exactly what Steve has done for the past, I'll say 10 years, but 10 years that there has been International Wheelchair Day. It's been a lot longer than that. Second award, much more prestigious than just a run-of-the-mill housing award. We've actually nominated Steve for the award of British Citizenship Award for International Achievement, to recognise that it's not only what he does here in Sunderland or in this country, but worldwide. We think this man deserves the recognition, and I hope that he will be collecting that award before he goes up before, sorry, Madam Mayor, but before somebody much more important than you with a sword. So please show your appreciation for Steve. And once again, for all the staff who've worked tirelessly, and Carol and the team that she's had helping her today, fantastic day. I'm so proud to have been here. Thank you very much.
The organiser of this event was Steve Wilkinson, Well, Steve, how do you think the day went?
We had to delay the event until the 8th of March, Derek, because of terrible weather in the area on the 1st of March, the official International Wheelchair Day. But fortunately, everybody that was due to be involved on the 1st of March was available. So the day went better than I had expected, and certainly how I hoped it would go. It was really a great event.
The children appear to enjoy it. What do you think they took from the experience?
It was great to have the children from Southwick Community Primary School involved. I think it's important to get children involved in International Wheelchair Day, and it gave them a great opportunity to talk to people who are using wheelchairs, which they certainly did. I know, having talked to the staff when they got back to school, they were really pleased to show their colleagues how great a day it had been, and proud to show the t-shirts and the medals that they all had got from it. They were able to talk to older people as well. Many of the children have grandparents in their 40s, so even people older than that was something they enjoyed doing, and they were able to ask questions about what life is like in a wheelchair. You know, the sort of issues of what's it like going shopping, what's it like getting on buses, what's it like just generally living in a wheelchair. And so there was a lot learned from that, and I hope they will get involved in the future as well.
So what is your message, and who is the target for this message?
Well, the aims of International Wheelchair Day, when I set it up in 2008, were threefold. First of all, to celebrate the freedom a wheelchair gives. Wheelchairs can often be seen as a negative thing, and yet for me and those that use a wheelchair, it gives freedom. It means you get out and about that you couldn't do otherwise. It's about recognising that people do a lot of work to provide for wheelchair users, providing support, carers, providing help for people, and then those that provide wheelchairs in other parts of the world where wheelchairs aren't funded in any sort of way like they are maybe from the NHS in this country. World Health Organization estimated that there are some 100 million people who need a wheelchair, and yet as few as 10 to 15% can find a wheelchair that is suitable for their needs. So there's still a mass shortage, and a lot of work being done to improve that.
What do you hope to achieve?
International Wheelchair Day is a day that people can tag events onto and talk about wheelchairs and have events like ours, or something even smaller. It doesn't need to be parades and races like we had. Just to focus on a wheelchair and talk about it, blog about it, and make people aware of what life's like in a wheelchair. And the way it's gone over the years has grown year on year, and I hope that will happen in the future.
It's International Wheelchair Day, so how international is International Wheelchair Day?
I hope from the outset that International Wheelchair Day would be truly international, and it took a while to get off the ground. I launched it in 2008, and the first awareness I have of International Wheelchair Day becoming international was in 2012. I was in Australia on holiday, organised an event with the Disability Information Resource Centre that I was aware of there, and around about the same time, through finding out from the internet, the Spinal Injury Rehabilitation Centre in Kathmandu decided to hold a rally, and some 80 wheelchair users paraded through the streets, focusing on the access issues for getting into buildings and access onto the pavements and the roads. And it's really taken off from there. Events have happened continuously in Kathmandu. They've got bigger events every year. Other events have happened in Australia. I'm aware of events happening in Africa, in Karachi in Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, India. And just recently I saw a blog of something that had happened in the States, just a company that had pointed out that Toyota were sponsoring a mobility challenge for $1 million mobility challenge over the next 3 years, and this company had recognised that it was good to promote that from their point of view, tagging it to International Wheelchair Day. So it's got recognition, and I do searches of the internet. People don't always tell me what's going on. It's an event that has nothing to do with me in some way, that it's got a life of its own through the internet, and I like to see that it will have a future. People tagging events on and recognising that it's a day to talk about wheelchairs and make the world better.
So you've been the driving force behind this international growth, so how have you actually achieved it?
It's clear how things have grown is because of the internet. When I first launched it in 2008, it was before the days of Twitter and Facebook, and I put a blog on a thing called the Academy that was around at the time. That was the initial launch and promotion, as well as putting things on my own website. And then when things started to happen in 2012, Facebook, Twitter were there, and people were putting blogs on about the events such as the ones in Adelaide and in Kathmandu, and people find things, and it started to grow from that, and people have just used the internet to spread the word about what they're doing, and it's certainly gone on from that, and I expect that to continue in the future as the main way of spreading information about International Wheelchair Day and how it will grow.
You obviously have a great deal of enthusiasm for things wheelchair, so tell me something about your work.
I'm semi-retired now, but for the years leading up to it I was running my own business called Wheelchair Steve Limited, a name originally given to me by my mates for obvious reasons as a nickname, and I chose to use that as my business name. The focus of that was primarily on accessibility, promoting accessibility for buildings, transport, getting people communicating. And while, as I mentioned earlier, the freedom a wheelchair gives is important, once you've got that freedom you've got to be able to get out and about. Access is still an issue that affects many wheelchair users, and a lot of work still needs to be done to improve access.
If all the international events have generated as much happiness and enthusiasm as this one, then you may be well satisfied.
Thanks for everything.